Welcome to Forgiveness is a Gift You Give Yourself. Take a few breaths and just bring yourself here. I'm so glad you decided to join because this truly is an opportunity to lighten the load of anything you're carrying that you don't want to let go of. But I wanted to introduce myself. I'm Linda Kroll. I'm an internal family systems therapist, mediator, attorney, Chopra Certified Teacher of Meditation, Yoga, and Ayurveda. Wrote the book, Compassionate Mediation, How to Add Passion to Your Marriage or Compassion to Your Divorce. And for the last 35 years, I've counseled probably thousands of individuals and couples on how to compassionately communicate, how to connect to their best self, let go of their limiting beliefs and judgments, unburden pain from the past, and relate from their heart. And that's what we're going to do today. Not only do I want to make this educational, I want to make it experiential. So let's get some myths about forgiveness out of the way. It's not accepting the behavior as a way to let it happen again. It's not amnesia. It's not permission. It's an opportunity for you to have the experience of letting your nervous system relax. Somebody said that forgiveness is body work for the soul. Because when you are telling yourself the same stories, when you are feeling the pain that you felt for the first injury, that affects your sleep, your heart, your blood pressure, how you eat. But when you do forgive, studies have shown that it improves your heart health, it improves your relationships, it allows you to have more happiness. So what's ever in the way of forgiving, I'd love to help you get that out of the way. Because if you're thinking of somebody that you need to forgive, if you could wave a magic wand and you could actually forgive that person, what do you think would happen if you could forgive the person that you're finding it hard to forgive? In other words, what is the benefit of not forgiving? Let's think about somebody right now with whom you're having a conflict. Think it might be a spouse, a partner, a parent, a child. It might be a friend. It might be a coworker. Think of someone with whom you've had a conflict or resentment. It doesn't even have to be a current conflict. It could be just a thought you're having about someone. But whatever you're thinking, picture that person and think about what did that person do that you can't forgive? What did they say? And put yourself on the top of the list, because a lot of times we can't forgive ourselves. We can't forgive ourselves from some decisions we made, from some actions we took. Sometimes we can't forgive ourselves for decisions we didn't make or actions we didn't take when we stay too long in a relationship that we need to leave, when we don't speak up and assert boundaries when it would be healthy for us. We have to forgive ourselves for those things. And what's in the way? And sometimes I'm working with a couple now, they're getting divorced and I'm mediating their divorce. And I keep telling them it's not the legality that's in the way, it's the psychology that's in the way. Somehow they think they have to be mad at each other and keep pointing out things that he did, she did to stay mad at each other to get divorced. But that's going to cost them time, money, energy, family relationships. Forgiveness is the start of something new. And you can acknowledge what your contribution was. You can acknowledge boundaries in the future. It doesn't even mean you have to reconnect with that person. What it means is that you can start over. And in your mind, you're not the victim in your story. You're the hero. And that's what I'd like to help you do today. So let's go back to think about somebody and pretend you come to my office, because usually people come to my, which is Zoom now, they come meet me on Zoom and they're having a conflict or they're having some problem with someone. And I'll start by asking, and I'll ask you, think about that person. What does that person do or say, or not do or say, that causes you to be hurt, angry, resentful, judgmental, whatever it is you're choosing to be? And when they do that, how do you feel? Angry, resentful, judgmental? And what do you think? And usually you're thinking something about them. They're selfish, they're neglectful, they're a narcissist, they. And the thoughts that you have keep perpetuating your reasons to be angry or judgmental. And then ask yourself, how do you feel underneath the anger? How do you feel underneath the resentment? And usually what you feel is hurt. or sadness that somebody that was supposed to care for you or respect you didn't treat you the way you'd like to be treated. And we get angry as a way to protect ourselves. And then what you can do is you can allow yourself to consider, what would it be like if I could bring my best self to this relationship? What if instead of reacting and putting my walls up or being sarcastic or being judgmental or withholding or disconnecting, what if I could show up in what I'm calling my best self? And in internal family systems, we call the higher self has the qualities of calm, compassion, connection, courage, forgiveness, creativity, and compassion. Let's say, and gratitude. I add gratitude. So let's say you could bring your best self to the relationship now, set appropriate boundaries, ask for what you want and need, and start over to either repair the relationship, restructure the relationship with boundaries, release the pain that you're feeling, or renew your decision to move forward in a way that frees you, because forgiveness is liberation. Forgiveness is freedom, and boundaries create safety. So I want to help you do both. All right, so take a breath. Let's go back to the person with whom you're having conflict. And if I were talking to you online, I would say, if you could wave a magic wand, back to that magic wand, what would you like to see happen? What would that person do to change? What would you do to change? How would you feel? And then what's in the way of that? And usually what's in the way of that are our judgments, our egos, our parts that have an agenda for how other people should be. So I'm going to give you the blurb that I give everyone that comes to my office. I believe we have a healthy self, capital S self. And when we're, quote, in self, we are calm, clear, compassionate, all those C words, but we're not always in self. We're in parts in IFS therapy, parts that we exile or push aside, parts that we manage with and show the world, and parts that we get extreme with. So for instance, when I was a child and my father was manic depressive and yelled a lot, I was scared, but I didn't want to show my fear. I was sad, but nobody seemed to be able to take care of that. And I probably was angry, but as a new codependent, I knew anger wasn't safe. So I pushed all those aside. And then I learned how to go out in the world and I managed by being nice and pleasing and caretaking and smart and hopefully funny. And there's a ways that I manage, but sometimes when I got triggered and my husband or ex-husband would do something that reminded me of my father or scared me because he was yelling or we were angry, I would feel the feelings of my inner child, didn't know how to manage it. And I would do things to get extreme. Now, because I was a codependent, I didn't get enraged. I probably turned it in. I got depressed. I turned on the TV and watched too much TV. I ate too much sugar. But there's different ways that people get extreme. We can get enraged, depressed. Some people go have affairs. We can act out with panic attacks. We can eat too much, drink too much. So in the scheme of relating to someone, how are you relating? I have a visual, ready for my visual. Here's my dolls. We all have inner children that I was talking about. So in a relationship, let's say a man and a woman, we each have an inner child that has wounds from the past. And this is relevant to why we can't forgive. Because if we don't heal those wounds from the past, what happens in the present is triggering the past. We can't manage, and we act out in ways that we might regret, that are unforgiving. They might be unforgivable. But we don't want to do that. We want to come from our higher self. So we have these inner children that we exile. And again, forgive the gender. Guys often try to look cool, don't talk about their feelings. Women like me, and again, it can go either way, are codependent. This was my codependent doll. I got her this way. She was exhausted when I got her. And we go around trying to meet everybody else's needs, but not our own. And then when our needs don't get met, people act out. They get angry. And they fight. And this is how you might be in your relationship. And might be how your clients show up in your office. Take a deep breath. Because when we're, quote, in self, and we'll talk more about how to do that, We thank our parts. They're just protecting us. Our anger is protecting us. Our resentment is protecting us. Our judgment is protecting us. The parts that don't want to forgive think they are protecting us, but they're not. They're keeping our walls up around our heart. And when we get more in self, we thank those parts. We don't judge them. We thank them because they're trying to be helpful. All parts are trying to help. And we don't have to be cool. We don't have to be codependent. We start speaking for our parts. And if the other person isn't capable of hearing us, for whatever their reasons are, for whatever happened in their family of origin or their prior relationships, we can tend to our own parts with compassion. And when we do that, we don't need to keep our walls up to keep us safe because we put boundaries in with the people that have hurt us. Because you have clients that might be locked in unforgiving patterns. I do a meditation, which I'll show you how to access later, to give them a felt sense of what it means to come from your heart without your defenses, without your judgments. I'll talk about my spiritual graft, G-R-A-F-T. And you'll notice that when you think about the person with whom you're having conflict and you tell yourself the same stories and you feel the same pain or sadness or fear, that it keeps regurgitating or ruminating and it goes on and it keeps hurting you because what we think affects how we feel. And if you're going to think a thought that's going to take you back into the past, or even a thought that's going to take you into a possible future, you run the risk of adding more stress to your life, as opposed to being in the present moment. So here's a tip to be in the present moment. You ready? Take a deep breath. Inhale so your abdomen goes out. Exhale, belly button back to your spine. 2 more times. Inhale, abdomen out. Exhale, belly button back to your spine. 1 last time. Inhale all the way down and exhale. You're back in the present, in just that moment. And in the present, you have more access to your higher self. And the way to get to your higher self is either to understand your parts better, help them unburden the pain from the past, help them find jobs that are better serving to you instead of putting a wall up or being sarcastic or having a disconnect or being unforgiving. Your parts can go on a board of directors where if you need them to put a wall up because you're really unsafe, that can help you. But basically you show up from your higher self, from this calm, compassionate center. That's the truth of who you are. We are body, mind, and spirit. And our minds affects our body, and getting in touch with our higher self, with nature, universe, higher power, God, whatever out there, and bringing that energy into your life so that you have compassion for everything that you've gone through. But you also have compassion for this other person because you're both doing the best you can based on your family of origin, your prior relationships, your sibling order, and a host of other issues that you can't fix in one session, but you can relate to differently. And you can with my spiritual graph. So here it is. G-R-A-F-T. So let's think about that person with whom you're having conflict or who you can't forgive. And see if you can find something to be grateful for. You know, my father was a manic depressive and he scared me a lot when he yelled, but he was also the most loving man. And I could be grateful for that. My husband and I had some irreconcilable differences. It ended in a divorce, but there was so much I could be grateful for. Our children, our assets, the future, our grandchildren. So find something for which to be grateful. The R-A in graft is radical acceptance. And sometimes we feel that the only way we're going to forgive someone is if they change or if they make an amend or if they do or create something different for us. But that doesn't often happen. So if you get to a place where you can radically accept what is, not stay with what was or project some future, but just accept that this is the current situation, then you could look at your contribution and you can heal your wounds and bring your higher self in. So gratitude, radical acceptance. The F is forgiveness, which is why I'm doing this workshop. It's often the hardest to do. But usually it starts with forgiving ourselves first, not judging ourselves for what we did or didn't do, not being a perfectionist, not looking at it through the lens of people pleasing or popularity or what woulda, coulda, shoulda. A friend of mine wrote a book, Woulda, Coulda, Shoulda, Shut Up. Because if we could just shut up of those thoughts that have us ruminate on what might have been different, our lives become happier. Gratitude, radical acceptance, forgiveness, and trust. Trust is a big one because if we've spent our lives in all of our parts that are yapping at us with different agendas and different judgments, it's hard to trust in that higher self. So allowing yourself to do practices to get to your higher self, to meditate, to journal, to go for walks in nature, to get some therapy. And I'm going to offer you a course in a minute that I'm offering soon on compassionate communication. Because I want you to give yourself the gift of forgiveness right now. Because once we've acknowledged the parts of you, the parts of this other person, if we take a few breaths and we connect to the earth, we connect to the sky, we connect and expand our energy to a field of compassion, we start with ourselves. We kind of notice from the top of our head to the soles of our feet, what are we thinking? What are we feeling? What are the stories we're telling ourselves? How do we protect ourselves from getting hurt? Are we putting up walls? Are we being sarcastic? Are we in total disconnect? Because you don't have to disconnect. You can set healthy boundaries. And you don't even have to reconnect with someone you're forgiving. Because again, forgiveness is a gift you're giving yourself. It just frees up your energy. Again, it's not amnesia. It's not permission. It's not to be re-injured. It's liberation. Because we don't want to let yesterday's pain affect today's energy and happiness. And that's what I'd like for you. So the trust part, the more you practice these exercises to have more self-energy, the more you get the help you need to see what parts are carrying burdens so that you can unburden them. To listen to the stories that your protectors are saying, because these guys have stories to tell you. They're mad about things or they're resentful about things, but they are because they've tried so hard to manage. And basically, you haven't really given your inner child the attention he or she needs to unburden the pain from the past. Offer you some resources. So the first thing I want to talk about is that I'm offering a 4-session compassionate communication course where I'm going to meet with a small group, 90 minutes for 4 weeks. And we're going to talk about how do you be your best self? How do you let go of those limiting beliefs and judgments keep you stuck and unhappy? How do you unburden the pain from the past so you don't have to carry it in the present and into your future and into your other relationships? And most of all, how do you relate from your heart to yourself first and then everyone else? You go to lindakroll.com/cc course. I also want to tell you, for those of you that are professionals, that my 7th cohort of my compassionate mediation coaching certification is starting soon. And that's an opportunity to learn all the skills that I have put together over 35 years so that you can help your clients learn how to compassionately communicate and also resolve any conflict. Most of all, I've seen in relationships, people stay stuck because they don't know how to forgive. They don't know how to move on. They don't know what their options are. They haven't considered what an ending would look like. They're just stuck. So I want to give you the skill set so that you can help your clients. And if you're in a relationship that needs help, I do see clients individually and couples, and I can work with you that way. You can go to lindakroll.substack.com to get the benefit of many of the things I've written over the last many years, not just about forgiveness, but about addiction, loss, grief. And I'll tell you, if you've ever loved someone that's an addict, practice forgiveness on a daily basis. And if you do love someone who's an addict, get to Al-Anon, because that helps you take a look at understanding the disease of addiction and helping you forgive on a daily basis. My daughter, God bless her, knew that I didn't care for the behavior of the addict, but I always loved her spirit. And sadly, when she passed 4 years ago from addiction, I could still practice forgiveness. So forgiveness helps in your relationships. Forgiveness helps in your personal life, in how you sleep, how you eat, how you relate to yourself. Forgiveness helps in relationships so that you can move through whatever your roadblock is for your own liberation, for your own celebration, for your own happiness. That's what I want for you. So you can go to lindakroll.substack.com, and you can also get, again, I don't want to make this commercial, but because I have these assets, I want you to know about them. I put together a Messages from Your Higher Self card deck. And what that was, I took lots of words that helped me be more forgiving, like healing and compassion and light and patience and empathy. And I put sayings with those. And what the card decks do is give you an opportunity, like pick 1, 2, or 3, and think about somebody or something and get an answer to it. For instance, let's say for all of us, I'm going to pick 3 cards right now about forgiveness. This for all of us. Okay. Don't know what it is, but here we go, because I can. All right. The first one is compassion. How do you like that? What can you do to show more compassion to yourself first and then others? So again, forgiveness isn't about, okay, I have to just forgive and hop over all my feelings and have compassion for the other person when I've spent most of my life having compassion for them and they don't get. Compassion first for yourself. Deep breath. Second card, healing. Oh, these are so relevant. Allow yourself to heal from any past or current pain. And I want you to know why this is important. A lot of times we believe we can't forgive because then we won't be safe. We'll be vulnerable, we'll accept the behavior, it will happen again. But the more you come from your higher self, the more you help your protective parts find better jobs or join your board of directors so they're available, just not on full alert all the time. And the more you unburden the pain from your past, the more healing can happen. And then you show up in your higher self. So all your parts recognize you have this higher self. You can learn to set boundaries. You can learn to say no. You can keep yourself safe so that you don't have to get reactive to do that. Third card, rest. Take a breath. Take a rest. Give it a rest. Let it rest. And again, I picked these for all of us by accident. But if you go to lindakroll.com/Etsy, you can get this card deck for yourself or gifts for the upcoming holidays, because it does give you a chance to just reset from your judgment, your anger, your sadness, your pain, your fear, your hurt, your worry, into a new paradigm where you can really show up grateful, radically accepting, forgiving, and trusting, so that your ego doesn't keep getting wounded by what your parts are jabbering is unhealthy for you. And while I've got my dolls, I'll bring out these, because in a divorce situation, there's often a part that feels like they're going to be a bag lady. There's often a part that feels like they're going to lose their pants. And sadly, even in the mediation I'm doing right now, there's a lot of pain and fear of people that think she's out to get all I can, or he's just going to dismiss me and find somebody younger. And the stories they're telling themselves, and their inability to forgive, and their inability to look at what they contributed to the relationship. I made a prediction recently on LinkedIn. I had 3 predictions. One was that people are going to start taking responsibility for their own contributions in conflict. And when you do that, you show up much more humbly. You show up much more ready to forgive, because you realize we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And in our human experience, we get triggered. We trigger the people we love. We trigger the people we care about, that we work with, and they trigger us. And when we get triggered, it's like a pinball machine. We're hurt. We go to protective. We go to anger. We go to resentment. We go to judgment. We go to lack of forgiveness. It doesn't have to be that way. You can forgive yourself. You can forgive other people. So my prediction is the more we take our own accountability, the better relationships will be, the more healing will be. The second prediction I made is just because people think about a divorce doesn't mean you have to go to a divorce. And that's why compassionate mediation is so important, because it gives us a chance to talk about everything with forgiveness, with empathy, with compassion. And when you do that, you can reset a relationship and create something new and stay together. So just because you thought about a divorce and you're stuck in limbo, I don't want this to be the way it is, but I don't want to leave, I don't know what to do, then compassionate mediation will help. And divorce can be a catalyst. The thought of divorce can be a catalyst to a whole new beginning. Because sometimes having the courage to look at an ending and what it would mean to your children, to your finances, to your family, to your friends, deep breath. You get motivated to forgive, to have compassion, to own your own contribution, and to create something new, to learn the 5 steps to get what you want and need. And they are: know what you want and need, know you deserve it, learn how to ask for it, be willing to receive it, and stay grateful. So you can do all that with forgiveness, with compassionate communication. You can do all that by beginning a process that allows you to come from your best self. Another thing I want to offer you is the first chapter of my book on compassionate mediation. Go to lindakrollbook.com and get your free chapter, because it explains more of what I'm talking about self in part. Go to put in the chat, lindakroll.com CCC. That's going to take you to the care kit. lindakrollbook.com will take you to the free chapter. lindakroll.substack.com will take you to more information about that. And then compassionatemediation.com is the new website I just did on my own. It's 78 because I'm a technological whiz as a grandmother. Compassionatemediation.com to learn more about how this will help all of your relationships and how you can work with me. Showed up. For those of you who are looking at the replay, please connect with me in any way that feels relevant. If you sign up for any of these free gifts, you'll be on my mailing list and you'll hear more. Who are here, thank you. For those of you who are watching the replay, please get the gifts. Please join me in my upcoming compassionate communication course or the certification. Get the book, go to Substack, get the cards, and let me help you help yourself and others receive on an ongoing basis the gift that forgiveness brings to your life. So I'm sending you a lot of love, a lot of hugs. I'm going to stop the video and I'm going to stay on with the people that are here. So thank you so much for being here, and we'll talk soon. Bye for now.